Hi, my name is Pat Parelli, and I am a horse lover. Ever since I was a little boy, I have just been enamored by horses. You know, we had Western movies on when I was a kid. There was Gunsmoke, and there was Paladin, there was The Rifleman, and there was Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and Cisco Kid. And it was horses, 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 horses. So I finally got me one. And I got horses in my life, and then all of a sudden I became a horse learnaholic. And I got this magazine called The Western Horseman. And it had this special article in it about riding horses with a hackamore. And that was cool. So I thought, wow, that looks good. And it told about all these early California vaqueros, they call them Californios, and how they had this special art of riding horses in a hackamore, young horses, so that they would stay out of their mouths. And then after they got them like 3/4 of the way trained, then they would start introducing a bit, and they would start doing all this stuff. I thought, wow, that is really cool. Then I got confused because there was a guy at our stable that had something called a hackamore bit. And I thought, what's the difference between a hackamore and a hackamore bit? And this hackamore bit was not at all what it looked like in the magazine, because the one in the magazine was made out of rawhide. There was another one made out of leather, and it had these reins that wrapped around the horse's neck with a 12-foot lead rope on it. This was, it looked like a kind of a wide nose band, and one of his friends even had one because they did gymkhana, had a chain on it, and then it had these big levers, but it didn't go inside the horse's mouth. So I don't even know why they called it a hackamore bit, because it didn't go inside the horse's mouth. And it had a chain under the chin strap and stuff like this. So now all of a sudden, I'm probably 12 years old, and I'm pretty confused because I've got this article I've read about hackamores, and then I've got this thing, somebody at the stables with this thing called a hackamore bit. And what I found out over the years in the horse industry is anybody who, let's just say you get your first horse. If somebody's had horses for 6 months, they're an expert compared to you, right? So their advice, that's who you're going to take. And that's the way it's always been. I've been in different horse clubs. I've been in all kinds of different things. And oftentimes, a lot of people have opinions that don't match up with facts. And so they were all this talk about the advantages of a hackamore bit and how you didn't hurt your horse's mouth. Well, I came to find out many, many years later that it's just really a hard leverage device. And it really leverages the horse's nose and jaw, and with the levers on it and stuff like that. Yeah, true, it doesn't go in the horse's mouth. But it's not at all the idea of what a hackamore is. So as I got on my quest, I actually got to work with a man named Ed Connell on the Moy Ranch in Livermore, California. And he was best friends with a man named Freddie Ferreira, who was the guy I was riding with. Freddie Ferreira was the Diablo Valley Trapper. If you've ever been to the East Bay area, you know where Mount Diablo is and Mount Hamilton. It's about 50 miles apart between those two peaks. And he was a government trapper in between those two peaks. And both him and Ed Connell were hackamore reinsmen. Ed Connell put on clinics on how to use the hackamore the way the early vaqueros did. And then I started learning more and more. I started finding out that the real word is hakima, not hackamore. It's kind of an anglicized word. And I found out that it can be used as a bit, a hackamore or hakima is a bitless bridle. And it's made for staying out of the horse's mouth in those fundamental training years. And you could even call it a hakima can be used as a hackamore, as a halter. So over the years, I found out that true hackamores can only be made out of natural materials, no metal in them. Matter of fact, if you go to a reining cow horse contest, they have the hackamore class for 4-year-old, 5-year-old horses. And in that hackamore class, the hackamores can have no metal, and they take a strong magnet around through that to make sure there's no metal in there that can cause undue leverage on the horse. It can be more severe than something made out of just natural. So the 3 natural fibers that we can use, things we can use, are either rawhide, leather, or rope. So this is what a hackamore kind of looks like. And a hackamore, see this part here, this is called the bosal, or the nose piece, all right? And the one disadvantage that most hackamores have is that they've got a 12-foot lead rope, and they've also got about a 9-foot loop rein that goes up around the saddle horn. The trouble is when you lead a horse, that oftentimes as you lead him, it'll just come off under his chin and over his nose, and you'll look back and here it is hanging on his ears, or maybe already on the ground. All right? So a true hackamore has what's called a feodor on it. The feodor is the part that would then go underneath the throat latch and up around the horse to keep the nose piece from falling off. All right? Well, if you have all that and you don't have any reins on it, it's a hackamore. Or if you have this, and it has the same thing, but you have a set of reins on it, guess what? You have a hackamore. But the hackamore, so we call this a natural riding hackamore. So what it's got on here is it's got a 12-foot long lead rope. All right? In case you don't know, most men, their arm stretch is 6 foot long. So if you just stretch it twice, 6 foot, and 6 foot, you've got a 12-foot lead rope. Okay? And again, that gives us that little more advantage, especially with young horses and stuff like this, horses we're introducing things to. It's more of a training length than a leading length. And then, if you take that rope and attach it, it's all one piece of rope. But what you end up with is, you end up with a 9-foot set of loop reins and the riding hackamore. So there's not much difference in the way we build the halter and the hackamore. Matter of fact, it's just a difference in length of rope, so we can tie that rope on there. But if you can think about everything from the horse's point of view and start to realize that we probably don't understand them when we first start and they don't understand us. And in that misunderstanding, there's going to be times when the horse is going to oppose or resist or defend his position, and it's going to be a lot rougher on him. There's nothing worse than riding a horse with a hard mouth. So one of the things that I've tried to do is get people to understand the transition from the horse's point of view, from being this young or wild animal that all of a sudden is going to be doing all these wonderful things with his human's partner. So what I love are transitions, not changes. So in our program, we start you off with a halter and a 12-foot training rope. Then we even, if you want, you can even make a loop rein out of that. And now you're going to have this 12-foot long kind of sloppy rein. But you can start off and start staying out of your horse's mouth and start learning how to bend him from the saddle when you're riding and how to ride inside of an arena with just this rope halter on. But in my toolbox, in my stables, I have both. I have, when I just strictly do things on the ground, I have a 12-foot lead rope on my halter, my rope halter. And when I first start with my horses on start riding, I probably usually put about 100 hours of the first riding hours on my horse in what I call a natural hackamore, just riding with a rope halter, 12-foot lead rope, and a 9-foot set of reins.